terms of Bobby and New Edition, he had to leave. He was not, because wasn't it Ralph that was really the lead? But
at first, yes, yeah.
Ralph was the lead, but Bobby was the energy. And
yeah, he was
all eyes were on Bob.
All eyes
were on Bobby. Okay, so they met. She saw him at a show. She invited him to her birthday party. They started dating. They married. You were at the wedding. Okay, one half of the room, ooh, the other half of the room, no. I'm going to ask you one question about Robin, because if there's one thing I will say, and this is only from what we see here in the UK, Robin was and still is very loyal to Whitney.
She hasn't said a word. She hasn't said anything against Whitney, which I applaud her for. I think I ran into Rob, and she was with an older white lady that she was friends with, and seemed to be happy away from the fray, because trust me, anybody that was close to Whitney, there's some hate around. Yeah. People wanted to be they wanted their piece of Whitney. I just felt so bad about that, because, and then her mom and Dion and them, they were kind of pushed aside. You know, it was Whitney's Pat Houston, her brother's wife, and they kind of, ran things for,
But it must have been, I mean, you were saying earlier, she became a superstar as a child. And then to be the daughter of Sissy Houston, I believe that, there was connections to Aretha. Right. Dionne Warwick was her cousin. It's a lot to deal with. And there were probably expectations put on her, that whether she wanted to meet them or not, because it was an expectation, did she have any option? Did she have any choice?
No, everybody was controlling what she did. And with Bobby, I think it felt it was a safety net with him, and he loved her. She knew that. He was a little bit wild. He might not have been the best person for her, but he was the best person at that time. Yeah, because I don't know who else she would have been able to be with and trust. She loved Bobby because Bobby actually protected her from all that was coming around. It's a lot of she's a kid. Yeah. You know what I mean? She's a kid. She doesn't know what's going on, and that whole drug thing. There's so many of the artists that get caught up in that, know, because there's a lot of pressure on them. You think about your kids going to high school or college and stuff, and what they could go through. They can have pressure. They can get on drugs. A lot of things that happen. Yeah. They look at where they were. They had money. Yeah. They had fame. They had people bringing stuff to them all the time. You know what I mean? So who was going to protect them? Nobody's going to protect them, because they want they want to be there. Everybody, I like I mentioned, I think I mentioned earlier, they will be at the end of the show. Some of the promoters would tell me that they would be there, the family would be there with their hands out. Right there, and because a lot of times they were paid in cash. So certain artists get paid, they want that cash,
Yeah. One of the things that I've always wanted to have a chat with you about is when the magazine was out there. We're in an age now where magazines aren't as sought after because everything is online, and we can still see Sister2Sister online on Facebook, Twitter, and also Instagram. But now, was it your 10th or your 15th anniversary? Bobby and Whitney bought a double-page spread in the magazine.
Did they buy it, or they bought it?
Well, they featured the double-page.
Featured. Shoot, I wish they had a. Well, it may have been. I did so many stories on them. I don't remember what. I think I know what spread you're talking about. Bobby and Whitney were doing B and Bobby Brown. Remember they were doing the TV show, and I asked for an interview during that time, and they set up a restaurant for us to eat, and they were ordering everything. Bobby said, "Oh yeah, bring this, whatever you want." He left me with the tea. I was like, what? I didn't sit you down. Anyway, things like that happen, because they're privileged people. You know, you're privileged to be in their company. And they were talking about Whitney. They were being very candid about Bobby be on drugs, and Whitney said, yeah, and he'll be at the window looking out the window like this. Somebody come in, you know. I'm like, what? Then there was a time that they called me because they were on a yacht and they were eating or something like that, and a glass broke. And Whitney, I think she got cut. And then they were calling me up to try to explain what happened, because they were always trying to protect Bobby, because people wanted to say anything negative about Bobby that they could. But he loved her, and he wanted to protect her at all times. You know, she was I don't know if, well, they were on, you know, substances. It's not healthy.
They lived an eventful life.
Yeah,
but they spoke to you, Jamie, quite often, because you always printed
exactly what they said. I don't change. That used to irritate me. You call me a gossip. Gossip has a negative tone, you know. I have not gotten, you see, I ask a question, you see, they answer the question. I asked the question, you said, Jamie asked this, Bobby and Whitney said this. How is that gossip when it's coming from the horse's mouth, when they are actually telling their truth in my magazine? I don't add anything. I may take away some things, because sometimes the artists would get too comfortable and they would say things that could come back and bite them in the behind, and I would take that out, you know. So that would be, if it got, the only two reasons I would eliminate what an artist said was if it was getting too long, you know, I couldn't fit it all in, or if it was something that would hurt them. See, a lot of times they don't know what the repercussions are. I might know that person that they're talking about, and I know that person is not going to stand for them saying something negative. So why would I put them in that position? Because when they're talking to me, they're relaxed. They're not alert. They're relaxed. I'm Auntie Jamie.
Yeah.
So people, you know, I have to remember that wait a minute, Jamie, he's telling you too much, or she's saying too much. This could come back and bite him in the ass. So,
but it was beautiful that they felt comfortable enough
right,
to open up. And that's one of the things I used to love about the magazine. I used to say to people all the time, when you read Sister to Sister, it is as Jamie says it. It is as the interviewee says it. And that's why I think the caption was giving it to you straight, no chaser.
No chaser. Yeah,
I love that.
Very irritated if the people said it was gossip, and I know, but there were people that were emulating, trying to do the same thing, and there was a lot of negative comments because people really didn't understand it. They were the more established people, like maybe you know, the ones that have been around for a long time. They had heard about Sister to Sister, and they would be like, oh no, I don't want to talk to her. And it took a long time for Angela Bassett, for instance, to finally agree to an interview, but I didn't get a chance to interview her anyway because I was on my way out. But you know, I was on my way out of that, you know, out of that place where I saw her, and I didn't have a recorder with me at that time. That's important because I recorded everything.
Yeah.
That was I didn't sit down there and try to write everything they said. I recorded it because I didn't want that coming back saying I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I don't want people saying that I would make things up. And it was very important because they would find themselves telling me things that maybe they shouldn't have told me, or maybe I realized that they shouldn't tell me, and then I would leave things out because I said this is going to bite him in the butt if he puts this out, you know.
Yeah.
So I was protecting all the time.
Yeah.
Because these were our kids, Angie. These were our children.
I mean, it must have been a challenging time, especially when someone's sitting very comfortably with you and they maybe go off a bit and start to pour out things that is juicy for the magazine, but could be.
It could hurt them. and it could hurt their people. And people, you got to understand, a lot of these artists too were involved with drugs, or their parents were involved with drugs, or an uncle or somebody on the street. A lot of them came from very unprivileged, beginnings. So I had to be aware of that. The point is that the reason I was there was because I was devastated. I lived in Europe for 9 years, in Sweden. And when I came back from Sweden, I was devastated seeing what had happened to my community, because I came back in the 70s. And you remember, Claudine, the men weren't in the homes anymore. And they were fathering babies. If they didn't take care of the kids, they couldn't be in the house to help raise the kids. There's all kinds of crap that happened to Black people. And they were pouring drugs into our communities. And I was like, well, what the hell happened here? So that's why I let prisoners write, because they had no say. I let them write in the magazine.
Yeah.